Hello, everyone, and welcome to my commentary on Anora. If you are new to this channel, click the subscribe button below for future notifications and updates. Click the like button to share this content with other movie fans. I saw Anora for the first time 3 weeks ago after the Oscar nominations were released, and I needed to catch up on the movies I missed before filling in my Oscar ballot. Because Anora got 6 nominations and other films got more nominations, I was very surprised when the director, Sean Baker, took home 4 Oscars last Sunday night. He now holds the record as the person who won the most Oscars for one movie in one night. Having said that, after watching the movie the first time, I realized I wanted to talk about the character of Anora. And then I watched it again yesterday to pick up details I missed the first time. So before you watch this commentary, which has spoilers, I would suggest that you watch my Anora movie review. And if you haven't done so already, watch the movie. It is available right here on YouTube. So every now and then I like to do commentaries on movies because some movies encourage you to think about human nature, which is outside the scope of the movie review. And so I wanted to talk about the difference between feminine energy and masculine energy. Usually, when we talk about those two energies, we are talking about dating and relationships. But what's great about the character of Anora is we can talk about this without resorting to talking about a particular real person. Anora is a realistic, fictional character, and she is both understandable and relatable. One thing that crossed my mind was ever since the pandemic, for the past 5 years, there has been an uptick of relationship gurus flooding social media, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and every now and then there is this common complaint that certain women are too masculine and straight men have a problem with that. Just a few months ago, I was watching a video about why Black women are the least desirable women and why we are less likely to get married. And one of the reasons is because supposedly we are too masculine. I feel like, and tell me if any of you notice the same thing, I feel like a lot of people, especially these relationship gurus, keep talking about feminine energy and masculine energy without fully understanding what that means and why yin and yang exist. Now, yin and yang is a Chinese philosophical idea, but it's a very important idea. And the universe as we know it um, resembles the yin and yang symbol. And then I saw Anora, and I saw how a woman can give out feminine energy in one scene and masculine energy in another scene. I have been watching other YouTubers talk about Anora, and usually they talk about the last scene of the film. But if you focus on the last scene, you're looking at a snippet of the movie. If you are focusing on the fact that Anora is a stripper and a sex worker, you won't understand why Anora won the Oscar for Best Pick. So let's put those issues aside for now. Anora is the story of Cinderella that has gone wrong, which is actually clever. Sean Baker sat down and probably said, hey, suppose if Cinderella took a bad turn and it ended miserably, what would that look like? Cinderella went wrong when Ivan proposed to Annie. Right there. After the first time, I thought Annie was foolish to get herself in that mess, but after watching it the second time, Annie knew where she stood in this world until Ivan proposed. At first, she thought Ivan was joking. She said, well, okay, who do you plan to marry? And he's naming a couple of girls, including her friend. And when he suggested her friend, Annie wasn't bothered by it at all. She is aware that she is the hired sex worker. And so when he proposed a second time, she laughed it off and told him to stop joking. At first, she does not believe he is serious. And then he says, I'm serious. So that's when she starts to think, well, maybe this is not a prank. Now, I mentioned in my commentary on Barbie and Oppenheimer back in 2023 that Barbie showed examples of toxic femininity and Oppenheimer showed examples of toxic masculinity. When it comes to the character of Anora, you see her move out of her feminine energy, then move into her masculine energy. It happens when Toros shouts on the phone that Ivan married a prostitute, and then Ivan disappears. Annie is rightfully offended because to her, this is a real marriage, and she deserves to be respected because she is now Ivan's wife. Again, people are talking about the last scene, but very few people are talking about the importance of the scene in which Vanya disappears. Even though Toros and his two hired men are there with Annie, even though Toros is only there to get the marriage annulled and he has no intention of hurting Annie, because Vanya disappears and Annie does not understand what is happening at first, she does not feel safe. She is in fight mode. Her blood is boiling and she is playing defense. While she kicks Garnick and gives him a bloody nose, and then she bites Igor in the neck, yeah, she is now in her masculine energy. So we need to establish what is the difference between feminine and masculine energy. According to my reading, and I quote, masculine energy is characterized by doing and achieving and is molded by logic and reason. Feminine energy is more intuitive, oriented towards receiving and allowing, and characterized by being. When these energies are balanced, we experience a greater sense of harmony and fulfillment. End quote. Now, even though Annie's emotions are running high in the living room scene, Annie is in her masculine energy because Toros is giving off toxic masculine energy. What does toxic masculine energy look like? Attachment to success, fear of failure. Toros is afraid of Ivan's parents, so he needs to get this situation under control and he needs to bail Ivan out before his parents show up. He is aggressive. He is judgmental towards Anora. He said to Annie flat out, Ivan does not love you. The marriage was a prank after all because Ivan is still a boy. This is not your house. This is not Ivan's house. This is his father's house. And Ivan's room is not the room you guys have sex in. It's down the hall where Ivan keeps his childish toys. You are not his wife. Take off the ring. I am willing to pay you $10,000 for a citizenship fee. Toxic masculinity is selfish. Toros doesn't even ask Anora questions about herself, and he doesn't even take her word for it that this is a real marriage. So instead of waiting for Annie to take off the wedding ring, he forces Igor to take it off her finger. And eventually, Annie is traumatized. When a woman does not feel safe or she feels she needs to defend herself, she will tap into her masculine energy and do something. She is either going to fight or flee, but she is doing something. She will not remain in her feminine energy and just go with the flow. Sometimes I wonder in real life, why don't men understand why women can be masculine? women being in the masculine is a survival tactic. And if you are a feminine being and you stay in the masculine for too long, eventually you feel exhausted. I know that from firsthand experience. It's like people are quick to judge, and no one has time to ask questions and find out why people are the way they are. It is amazing, but if you look at relationships, you will find that most relationships are transactional instead of relational. So by the time we get to the airplane scene, and Ivan tells Annie they have to get the marriage annulled because it was a mistake, Annie gets slapped back into reality, literally bitch slapped back into reality, and realizes that this is still a transaction. Annie is not a wife. She is still the hired prostitute. Ivan lied to her when he proposed. Ivan was wrong to convince Annie that he was not joking. Now let's talk about the last scene of the film. From the moment Ivan disappears to the moment Igor drives to Anora's house and helps her with her luggage, Anora is in her masculine mode. Even her having sex with Igor in the car, masculine energy. She is the one initiating sex. And other YouTubers have speculated why she initiated having sex with Igor in the car. If you think she initiated sex because she wanted to thank him for him giving her back the ring, I get it. If you think she initiated sex because she does not know how to relate to a man other than through a sexual transaction, I agree with that too. But the last scene is powerful because Igor is an example of a healthy masculine man. He is present in the moment. He is not judgmental. He doesn't reject her advances, but he insists that they kiss. Her getting on top is her doing. Igor trying to kiss her is his doing. And when she resists, she fights back. But Igor grabs her wrist because he is not going to allow Annie to hit him. He will not allow her to use him for a punching bag, but he knows where the frustration is coming from. So instead of hitting her back, he holds her. Igor is in his masculine, and therefore he's not going with the flow and letting Anora do whatever she wants with him. And once Annie comes face to face with a healthy, divine, masculine man, she can go back into her feminine self, and her breaking down and crying is her finally feeling free to be vulnerable. Igor gives her the space to stop doing and to just be human. Therefore, the movie actually ends in a state of equilibrium. The world is now in balance again in terms of energy, in terms of yin and yang. While people are wondering about the meaning of the last scene, my first reaction was, why did the film end on a silent note? We see Anora crying in Igor's arms, and it cuts to the end credits, and there is no music. And I watched it here on YouTube. I didn't see Anora in theaters, but what hit me more is the end credits without music. It forces you to meditate on Anora. But Anora getting back into her feminine brings the movie to a satisfactory end. The world is balanced again, but the silent end credits is probably a nod to the character of Igor. Because of Igor, the world of the story has a balanced ending. The end is sad because we all feel sorry for Annie. And some people think Igor had a crush on Annie, and maybe that's not true. Igor acted the way he did in the story because he sympathizes with Annie. We can only go by what we saw in the movie. When Igor and Annie are sitting on the couch after the annulment, he told Annie how he felt about the situation. Igor gave her back her wedding ring because he knows it meant something to her. He was acting humanely towards Annie, which she deserves, regardless of what she does for a living and why. You see, there's a difference between being loved and being used. And the problem is, most people don't know what it's like to be loved because they have most of their life been used by other people. But you can also look at the ending as a bittersweet ending. Yes, Annie is heartbroken, but it's nice to know there are people like Igor in this world. One of my favorite writers, and I consider him to be a teacher of mine, was Dr. Wayne Dyer. He passed away several years ago, but he said, if you have a choice between being kind and being right, choose kindness. Igor did not have to be kind. He chose to be kind. A divine masculine man chooses kindness. Anyway, I hope that this commentary makes sense. I hope that you got something of value out of it. I hope I am not thinking too deep into this, but Anora had me thinking for the past couple of weeks. The movie has really stayed with me. So when it won the top award of the night, I get it. I was rooting for Conclave, but I understand why Anora was voted Best Pick of the Year by the Academy. So that is all for today. Thanks a lot for watching as always, and I will see you next time with more movie reviews. Take care.